What is up, everyone? Gamer Live Studio here, back at it with another video, and today I'm here to talk about and discuss the Elder Scrolls 6, but more importantly, the leaks and rumors about the Elder Scrolls 6 that's been going around on Reddit. Now, what brought this up? Well, I watched Colt Eastwood video, right? And it made me say, you know what? This will be a really good video to dive in, to talk about, discuss, and have a bit of fun, right? You know, putting our detective caps on and, you know, giving you guys, you know, some evidence, connecting the dots, right? Giving you like my overall thoughts, right? And whether or not do I believe in the Reddit rumors? Is it hold some truth? Does it hold some weight? Or is it all fake? It's baloney. It's just out of place. This is basically a big old nothing burger, right? So I said, you know, this will be pretty fun, right? And this is a great way to kick things off, heading towards the New Year's, right? Now, before we get started, right, I just want to give everyone a happy holidays. Hopefully you guys enjoy your Christmas. You got what you want. You know, you're staying safe, right? And also the upcoming, you know, New Year's, hopefully you guys will stay safe, have fun, but also stay safe as well for New Year's coming up, okay? 2026 is literally only a couple of days away, right? So I figure, hey, you know, might as well make a video, do something fun, something, you know, starting something, a new kind of series, right? You know, this is my brand new hot take series, okay? So I'm kicking things off, something new, something fresh. So without further ado, make sure you like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And without further ado, let's just get started with the video. This is my hot take on the Elder Scrolls 6, okay? So you know how we do around here. We're going to start from the top and work our way down. So we're going to break it down piece by piece as the best thing I could possibly do. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm going to try my best to keep it somewhat cohesive, okay? Somewhat cohesive, all right? So let's jump into this Reddit here, right? So first thing right here that we see right here, the title is going to be called the Elder Scrolls 6 Iliac. So when I heard it, I said, okay, I don't know, I don't like the name. Personally for me, right, this is a personal thing that I'm saying. Personally for me, I don't really like the name. I'd much rather call it Elder Scrolls 6 Hammerfell, like that'll be fine, or Elder Scrolls 6 High Rock or something like that, that'd be fine. But Iliac, I don't know, it might have to grow on me, so we'll have to wait and see. But it's interesting that the title is going to be like this, but I'm just going to refer to just Elder Scrolls 6 until we get something official. But again, this could change as well, so this might be a placeholder for now, but it could change. But what's interesting about this is the fact that the name Iliac, right? Because if we go right here, right, and you look right over here, right, in the Elder Scrolls map, and I'm just gonna let everybody know I'm not an Elder Scrolls you know, super in depth. I'm knowledgeable, I know everything about it inside and out. I'm not that. I mostly look at surface level evidence and also taking like old Bethesda games that they previously made and kind of connecting the dots here and other evidence that also show and point towards this direction, okay? I just want to make sure everybody's is perfectly clear here. But however, the evidence that I'm about to show you suggests that this leak may have some legitimacy here. It may be legitimate, right? So starting things off here, right, we can see that there's the Iliac Bay, right? Because then the next thing right here that is also says right underneath where it says settings, it says it's going to take place in Hammerfell plus the coastal High Rock, right? Which that does hold some water. That does hold some weight because, like, again, if we look right here, this is from the official announcement teaser, right? Just using this as an image, but you can see like there's a whole water of ocean right here, right? Whole water of ocean. There's rocks, right? This almost look like Hammerfell, right? So, given that, right, that we've seen the teaser trailer from like a while ago, back in like 2018, right? And then we're looking at the map right here that the title is going to take in Iliac Bay, right? So it's going to be in between High Rock and also Hammerfell. I think this makes a lot more sense, right? It makes it this sounds legit, and it does make sense, right? And I'm gonna tell you why. Remember, in previous Bethesda games, right, when we blow this up, right, I'm gonna blow this up right here so you can look at the map. In old previous Bethesda games, all the way back to Daggerfall, right, most of these games take place in mainly one location, right? So what I have known so far, right, I don't know all of the games that, you know, whatever back in the past, right? But I do know some of the games right now somewhat, right? We have Morrowind, the Citadel, Skyrim, right? I know that Morrowind takes place in Morrowind. It was one game that takes place around here. We didn't go to Citadel. And then after that game was done, and then they go to Citadel, then it took place all in Citadel, right? We didn't get to go to here, or here, right, in these locations, or Hammerfell, right? It was all taking place within Citadel, right? And then the game that came out in 2011 that got me into the Elder Scrolls series, that was Skyrim, right? And Skyrim took place all the way up here in the north, where it was cold, dark, damp, right? Dragons, right? And it takes place all around here. You couldn't go to High Rock or Hammerfell or Citadel, right? You couldn't even go to Morrowind. It all takes place in this location, right? So, fast forward, right? We had Starfield, right? And now they're going to be into full production into making the next Elder Scrolls 6 game. So, it's pointing us towards Hammerfell, because again, if you haven't know or don't know this, but over from 2018 on forward, they've been hinting at Hammerfell, you know, releasing like hints and clues and things like that, and teasing that is going to take place in Hammerfell, right? But it also could possibly not just going to be in Hammerfell, but it also might be also combining with High Rock, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, why, you know, like, why make this just one location while High Rock is literally right next to there, and you can do High Rock and Hammerfell both at the same time? And on top of that, it's going to be twice the size that we had back in Skyrim. I think it's possible for them to do so. I don't think it's not going to be really that hard to do, right? So when we go back to this Reddit, right, this right here and this does sound legitimate. Like, this does make me believe. Like, this does make me believe this. And then down here, when we go into the yes section, 11 major cities, and then we have 2 fortress cities, right? And then also we have shipbuilding, settlement building, right? Procedurally generated in the Iliac Bay. Thieves in the Iliac Bay. Okay, and then we'll stop right there. Okay, so let's break this down right here. First, let's point the elephant in the room. I think a lot of people always be within their feelings. Again, this is no feelings here, okay? I'm tired of people with their feelings being like, oh, procedurally generated is bad and blah 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 and AI is bad, blah 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 blah. Okay, like I get it, but look, man. You have to understand that these tools and these things will help to make development go by quick and more faster and more efficient. Okay? Put it like this way. You think the things that they can do, you think they can make two of these at the same time? No. I don't even think the creation engine, the original creation engine, when they did Skyrim, for what I have known back in 2011, it was very, very limited. So that's why they did Skyrim only all of this area right here. But it took them quite some time, you know, because it was a major jump between going from Cyrodiil, playing Elder Scrolls 4 to 5. It was like a huge jump, right? But again, the engine that they was running was very limited, right? Until Starfield came along with procedurally generated planets, where they can procedurally generate hundreds, if not thousands of planets, right? And it's not a bad thing, because that's a good thing. Because you know why? Because it's going to help with Bethesda as a studio to procedurally generate both maps pretty damn easy, versus they have to really manually craft each area and stuff like that, which is going to be pain in the ass too long to do, because it'll be just like crazy, because then the game will only just take place in Hammerfell and nothing else. Like, it wouldn't even have like shit combat or anything. It will just take place here. But knowing what the Reddit rumor is saying here and this, right? And then we're taking this right here with procedurally generated, which we seen in Starfield, then it makes me believe, right, that the creation engine, that they're going to get a reamp or whatever, they're going to fix it and make it better or whatever. But we can see that they can procedurally generate both of these maps very quickly. And then all they have to do is just go in there and do touch-ups on the area around it. Whether they say, okay, we're going to put more rocks here, we're going to do this over here more, we're going to do this. Like, the map of it, like the layout, is pretty much already done. Like, the layout, the size of it, that's already done, because the procedurally generated map is like they already made like a blank whatever. And then you got the, you know, environmental artists, those and the people, they're gonna come in and start like doing like the mountains over here, doing this mountain over here. So I'm just like, let me just zoom it in here, so then that way you understand that they're not gonna do Skyrim, because they got that game already. They're saying, let's take this Hammerfell and then High Rock, and let's combine both of these, you know, like kind of like together into like one playable area that is twice the size as Skyrim, right? And at the same time, they don't have to be on like Skyrim engine, where it was painstakingly, like, it took a while to do a lot of things, right? Making the map, the road, adding NPCs, this, that. It took a while in Skyrim, but it's not going to take as long as this one would. So they probably said, let's just do Hammerfell and High Rock. That makes sense. So that way this will have a playable area, right? Because even in here on the Reddit, right, and it says it's going to have shipbuilding, right? And then also settlement building, right? Which it makes sense. We've seen that in Starfield. So if we take all of this right here together, right, and also 11 major cities and two fortresses / cities, right, and we go back right here onto this map, okay, I will say like this. It'll be like, okay, so then they're probably going to be like a city slash fortress map over here. And then they're going to have one over here, right? You know, that's pretty cool. Because remember, in all the other games, it's usually just be like one here, then it's spread out with towns. Then Skyrim, you know, they had one whatever, like kind of, and you know, or better yet, they're just spread out. They didn't really had a massive overarch city. They didn't really have something like massive, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you might argue and say maybe Solitude in Skyrim might have that, but it's not on the same scale though. You know what I'm saying? It's not like on a grandiose scale, right? And the same thing as Morrowind. But for what we know, right? And the technology that they have with the Creation Engine 2.0, and then whatever that they're going to, you know, to reamp it and whatever for this game, it's possible that they can make these cities more grander, on a grander scale, on a bigger scale, the same way how they did in all the way back in Elder Scroll 4, you know, Oblivion. So whenever they did Oblivion, when they did that one city, that city, whatever, that arc thing, which was really cool, I'm pretty sure they might take that and put this in Hammerfell, put this in High Rock, and make it in a grander scale, a more important scale. And I think they can do it because, again, they got procedurally generated, you know, right, technology, so they can generate this easily, generate this, then they can go in, do the little touch-ups and stuff like that, add into the cities and stuff, right? They probably put the base, the base like layout, right, the terrains and stuff like that. They did the roads and stuff like that. Then they probably said, okay, now we can add the, you know, like the generated NPCs, this, that, and the third, right? So it makes it easier for them to develop a game, and they don't have to waste a lot of time into like painstakingly like gotta do this and do that and put this here, put that there, right? And when they say 11 cities, right, and this is the key thing, it says 11 cities, but if you sit here, you count all of this right here, is in total of 17, and including this right here. So in total, right here from High Rock to here is 17, right? And then I said to myself, like, okay, if they're going to put in 11 major cities plus 2, so that's like, what, 11, 12, 13? So like 13. So it makes sense because maybe, like, again, this is just a hypothetical thing. But remember, in Skyrim, right, they had the dragons, dragonborn, dragon attacks, right? The dragons don't stay in one spot. You know, the dragons are able to fly across, you know, High Rock, Hammerfell, Citadel, right? These dragons can fly to any location, right? They can fly to any location and attack any location. So what if that the next Elder Scrolls 6, that we do see dragons, right? But we see dragons leaving destruction, like destroying some of the, you know, some of the cities and towns, like being in ruins. That's why it says right here that it says 11, right? 11. But let's say out of that, you know, out of those 17 cities, probably maybe a couple of them has already been like attacked and destroyed. Like, you know, like it got burnt to the ground. Same thing that in Skyrim, where the first dragon attack was, I forgot what it was. It was like not High Rock, not High Rock. I forgot the name of it. But when you start from the beginning of the game, when the dragon attack and that whole town has been burnt to the ground, like it's been burnt, not gonna be rebuilt. It's like pretty much done. It's like total destruction, right? People die, people flee, and they're not coming back to go back there. Anything is already is pretty much is a danger zone, right? So I said, okay, so if these dragon attacks was going on during the time of Skyrim, right, and he killed some of the dragons in Skyrim, but some of the dragons probably already left and went to other parts of the neighboring countries, right? So I'm pretty sure they probably went over here in Hammerfell, destroyed like random like towns and villages. So it'd be pretty cool that where some towns are standing fine, and then you probably might stumble or discover a town or something that is burnt literally to the freaking ground. And it's not just one, it probably might be 2 to 3, maybe 4 types of towns that used to be like city, well, town people folks, but their whole thing got destroyed, and their homes got destroyed, and buildings got destroyed, people died, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these locations, like some of the towns and city folks, or these little small villages, their things got destroyed. And I think that makes sense. Again, dragons can fly, they can go over here, they can go over here. That makes a lot of sense, okay? So this right here, right? Because they have to deal with the dragon attacks too, right? So this kind of makes some sense. So not only that they're gonna have some type of like political stuff, like, you know, like a faction, political, or discovering, because it says the story says resolve around like again, I'm not an Elder Scrolls, and I'm probably gonna mispronounce this anyway, but it might have something to do with some artifacts, but it also might be tailored to maybe some dragons might be as well. But you're not a dragonborn. You can kill dragons because, you know, dragonborns are not special, right? Because we know in Skyrim, right, back in Skyrim over here, we know in Skyrim you was the only dragonborn. But here's the deal, dragonborns is not special because they're not just the main person that can kill dragons. Even like, again, the White One forces, you know, the Empire forces, anybody that has a group of adventurers and whatever can kill dragons too, right? So even though they don't have dragon blood, but they can also fight and kill a dragon as well. So we seen that in Skyrim. So we helped. We're not the sole person that we can kill dragons. They, you know, again, everyday citizen folks in Skyrim can kill a dragon just as much as the Dragonborn can kill dragons, right? That makes sense. So I think that dragons are going to play in somewhat a role in this, but they're not going to be the main focus. There might be dragon boss monsters and stuff, but I don't think it's like the main focus on to this game. Because like, again, if you read it right here, they're gonna do something dealing with like some artifacts and stuff, finding some stuff. Okay, all right, so that right there is understandable, right? So between and also we can go back to here, the shipbuilding. Now we've seen the shipbuilding in Starfield, right? And the reason why this makes a lot more sense, and I think this right here is definitely compelling, is the fact that if we already seen it in Starfield where we building spaceships and stuff like that, right? And which was really cool. I don't know why, and I know a lot of people do not like the settlement building, but I do. Like, it's perfectly fine. I want them to add more and do more things to it, which is always a plus. But I'm not sitting here complaining about stuff. For me, I always think about the possibilities and details, like what this could possibly mean, right? So knowing that the procedural generation, which is a good thing, right? I don't complain. I think this is a possibility thing that, again, it saves development time. It saves on a lot of resources and time. And combining with that with shipbuilding, I think this right here and this sounds more compelling now. This sounds more compelling and it makes sense, right? Because if we go to right here, right in the Bay Area, let's go over here. So we're here at the Iliac. I can't even pronounce it right. I'm probably just like butchering it, but the Iliac Bay, you know, this area, right, where Hammerfell and there's High Rock and Daggerfall is right over here. This makes sense. And because, like, if we already have shipbuilding in Starfield, then there's definitely going to be opportunity for us to build a, right, a ship, right? A ship that we can also hire crew members and bring people along with us. Is probably going to be procedurally generated, because then we might say, hey, we can travel out to sea and maybe discover a random location or a build. Like, again, these are great opportunities and possibilities that this can happen in the game. It's awesome. This is awesome. Like, this is fantastic, right? Let's go to this map right here. You'll know what I'm talking about. So we go right here to this map, right? Where I'm pointing at. Right here, right? Where, yeah, Daggerfall right here, which it does make sense that where it's like, okay, if we're going to do Hammerfell, then we can easily procedurally generate High Rock as well along with Hammerfell. Then on top of that, right, because they're going to do shipbuilding, we already have shipbuilding in Starfield, so it's starting to make sense. It's starting to connect now that where, oh, we can build ships, sail across, and it doesn't have to just between here and here. We can sail out to this open sea over here, up here, and also this can lead to a potential DLC in the future, right? Because it can lead to a DLC where they might add this down here. They might say, okay, let's do the base game, which is High Rock in here, have them sail across the sea, but they don't run across this area of the map, right? But then maybe later on, when they want to add into some DLC, some other stuff, they might can add this here to play a part into more like naval combat, or again, an area that where if you want to build a kingdom or something, or build your own kind of kingdom, not within Hammerfell or High Rock, you could say, hey, I could take my ship, right, sail my stuff like Christopher Columbus, come over here, slaughter whatever the hell that I want or whatever, and then I can place my kingdom here and I can rule and govern this land. Or they might do is saying, hey, we can go out here, right? Because like, again, with the procedural generated stuff, which I personally do not mind, I think this is a great tool, because then when they generate like an island or some random island or some random area and something like to explore, whether there's thieves, there's other pirates, other factions, right? Maybe creatures, different monsters, right? And then I can kill everybody on that island, right? And then basically build a settlement, right? Like build a settlement, build my own castle, my kingdom, and then maybe modders can also add in, right? I'm just throwing it out here. I don't think Bethesda is going to put everything all in here, because then it will just take too damn long. I think they're going to just build a baseline of an idea and then have the modders to kind of connect them all together. Like say, hey, if you built whatever, a kingdom or something like that, you can put so-and-so whatever, state your kingdom and stuff like that. And on top of that, you can trade with other people, like, or other places. Like you could trade with people from High Rock, you could trade from people from Hammerfell. Like they could sit there and say, hey, I'm just going to throw this as an example. Let's just say there was an island right here, right? And let's say I built my kingdom here. So if I built my kingdom here, I can establish a trade route to Hammerfell, and modders can do that, saying, hey, you got trade route over here, people want to come over there and live in your city, so you got houses that you already built, this and that, villagers bringing farm, bringing milk, bringing cows, animals and stuff to that, towards there for transportation, right? You can also have bodyguards or guards like guarding like kind of like your ocean territory. Let's say, like, for example, you like somebody like trying to attack your ship, like from a trade route, you can basically, when you're on there, you could stop them and kill them and rob their stuff and shit, right? Like there's so many cool ideas you could do. You could make a trade route from maybe one established faction. Maybe there might be a faction up here that you have established, or some type of companion or whatever, and you establish a trade route, you can say, hey, I want a trade route from here to here. So they might say, okay, we'll dock it right here. We'll sail our ships all the way to your island. We'll establish a trade with gold, food, and then we'll establish a trade to go up here. That'd be pretty fucking cool. I'm telling you, the possibilities to this is going to be stupid crazy, but it makes sense. That's what Starfield been doing this whole entire time. I know people don't like Starfield, but you don't understand the potential and the things that Starfield can fucking do. Starfield can literally, the reason why Starfield can last for 10 years, because they gave you a blank slate and they said you can do whatever you want. If you want to build a city on this planet and you want to call this a town or whatever, you can do that. If you want to establish trade route between this planet to that planet, you could do that. It's going to be the same thing, but in a smaller scale. But it's going to be like between Hammerfell, High Rock, and then whatever next maybe plot DLC. They might add in another island like right here, down here below, to have some type of, whatever. They can easily do that because, again, with the procedurally generated technology that they have for the creation engine, is the possibilities are just opening up to us that there's just so much shit we can do now. Like, there's so much crazy stuff we can do. And this is why I said, like, this stuff, this right here, all sounds believable. This all sounds believable. I don't think it's out of the question, right? And then you got the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, Fighters Guild, Mage Guild, right? Imperial Cult, not joinable. Temples of 3, not joinable. Crone of whatever. Okay, so there's certain ones that are not joinable, right? Certain factions, but that's going to be an easy fix. If anything, modders can easily, turn this non-enjoyable faction into a enjoyable faction. They can do that if they want to. I don't think it's not that hard to do, depending on the story and stuff like that, right? But, like, again, when we're hearing the factions like the Thieves Guild factions, the Dark Brotherhood faction, let's just put the Thieves Guild factions. Let's just say you completed the Thieves Guild, you establish a good relationship with the Thieves Guild, right? Similar to like what Starfield, with the relationship with your crew members or like the main people like Sarah, right? You have Andreja, Sarah, you have I think it was Brad. I don't know, Brad. Got Sam Coe, right? You establishing like relationships, right? And how you establish those relationships, you do good things, you get good things, right? Same thing for any of these guilds. Hopefully they'll bring that over for the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves Guild, because then that's really is role-playing at its finest. Because if you are a Thieves Guild, then you don't want to rat out the Thieves Guild, because then your reputation with the Thieves Guild, if you're working with the Empire, right, or whoever, right, that's in charge of that city, the town, or whatever, you will have a bad reputation, a negative reputation with the Thieves Guild, right? And they're not gonna like you or trust you. They're gonna probably most likely kick you out, or they're gonna try to kill you, right? Or, like, again, if you have a good relationship with the Thieves Guild, right, and you do good, like, imagine this for a minute, that where, let's say the Thieves Guild, let's say have like some sort of like a stash of like stole some like rare items or rare materials or something like that, right? And they said, okay, we could do that for you. You did a lot for us, right? You did some missions for us, then we'll help you out. We can steal some rare materials and items, right? And have them shipped it on the ship, boom, in a cargo, and have it shipped towards your whatever island that you have established a kingdom or your own place, and they can bring items towards you, like say, hey, I need orbs, I need weapons, I need unique items, and you get it all that for free because you did really well with the Thieves Guild, and they're going out there stealing and whatever, and then they're bringing those items and maybe smuggling it into one of the cargo ships, and then all you have to do is just go down to the cargo ship, find the ship container, maybe, or whatever, a container that's marked on there, and then you could just take the treasure and take the loot out of there. Yo, like, the possibilities to this shit is going to be fucking insane. Oh my god, this is going to be good. I can tell you right now, I can already see modders is going to be on this shit. Fucking, there's oh my god, there's going to be so much shit that you can possibly do. It just unlocks like more things to do. Like, again, you got pirates, you can find islands and stuff like that around out in the coastal seas, like different islands, different whatever, procedurally generated. You can establish land somewhere and travel back to High Rock, establish like a trade from like maybe out of, I don't know, let's say out of the 11 major cities, you can establish a trade with any one of those cities or any one of those villages and stuff. You can establish a trade and stuff, and people can actually come and live over there with you. Like, you're establishing your kingdom and stuff, and you want to say, I want people to live here and grow farms, do this. Yo, the possibilities is going to be insane. I can already see the modders is going to go Hamlet over this shit. They're going to go Hamlet. They're going to go fucking Hamlet. And that, oh my god, this is going to be crazy good. I can already imagine it. Right? So that's just one taste of it. But so far, for what we're reading here, sounds legitimate, right? We already touched on the ship settlement building, right? Establishing a kingdom or building it for yourself, right? We already established ship building because we already see it in Starfield. Makes sense for this game to have ship building and ship combat because you got a whole bunch of water over here, whole bunch of waters and areas right here. So you got a big coastal area right here to discover, like, you know, again, more more islands, more different creatures, run into pirates, thieves, or Dark Brotherhood boats. Who knows? Like, there might be different ships. It could be different ships of all sizes. Could be a smaller ship, big ship. You know, like, there's gonna be a lot of crazy stuff. I can already see the mods to it is going to be even more crazier. So, sounds legit. So far, this does sound legit. Now, again, I don't know what the story is going to be about. I think that's something we got to wait and see. But when we go down here, where it says the no, okay, the singing for players. So the shouts, okay, there's no shouts for player character. Okay, I don't know. Swords singing. I don't know what's that about. I don't know. That's kind of weird. This one I have a problem with. I think this one right here, I do not believe. All right, the generic Starfield NPCs, right? This one I don't think so. I think they are going to add generic NPCs in Elder Scrolls 6 for sure, but it's going to be in a different way. And now I know a lot of people complain about procedurally generated, blah blah blah. Like, they're gonna have handcrafted stuff. Like, again, like I said, I'm pretty sure what they're doing is, right, now I'll lay it out for you, right, before we get into that little topic about the the non-procedural NPC generic characters, right? Let me give you a rundown how this works, okay? First, they did Starfield. They said, okay, let's do Starfield. Let's test out procedurally generated maps and procedurally generated content. Let's see how that works. They tested it. It seems to be good. And we know that Starfield is going to get a 2.0 update. That's going to be coming on the way, right? We know that. Now, if we take what we know from Starfield, I'm pretty sure that during the development of this, first it was concept stage, right? Concept and story, right? They want to say, okay, what's the concept that we're going to have for this? the art, the style, whatever. And then the second thing is going to be, okay, what's the story is going to be about, right? So they did, concept, stage, and story layout, right? Then the second stage is going to be in pre-production, which is not going into fully production, which is like fully developed. It is pre-production, meaning that, okay, we got the concept, we already have the story, now we got to do the layout of the map and the area, right? Now, the old creation engine was like painstakingly, like they had to, like, okay, we got to make this map like this, we got to put mountains over here, they got to painstakingly, putting things like in certain like places and putting it at, which is going to take a very long time. It's not something where you can do this in less than a year or less than 2, 3, 4 years, right? It takes a while. Okay. Now, how do we know it took a while back then? It's like, if we look at I think it was the Sky Oblivion, which there is a dedicated team that's basically taking they want to do an Oblivion remaster, but in the Skyrim engine. That's what they want to do. So they want to take the Oblivion world and everything else, and they want to transfer that world and NPCs and characters and stuff like that, and transfer it into the the Skyrim engine, right? And how that works and everything else. But again, it's taking them quite some time. It's not as easy as just like, oh, let's just copy and paste it. It's not like that. It takes a lot of work and time to remap and redo a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's not easy. You're not going to get it in like one day. You're not going to get it in like 1 year. That's going to take some fucking time. Okay? Because remember, in the creation engine, the original one, that doesn't have procedurally generated. You had to painstakingly like put the mask, mesh, this, that. It was a bunch of work. You had to painstakingly put each and every little place right there. Like, handcrafted dungeons took quite some time, right? It took a lot of time to do that. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is easy. Yeah, let's just throw this here, put that there. Like, no. Not like how the engine, how it was in Starfield, right? Starfield has Creation Engine, 2, which is the second version. And that one, you can do procedurally generated maps and procedurally generated content or crafted content or whatever, right? They give that as a test. They want to see how that works in Starfield. And I think it's a perfect setting to do so, because in space is empty. There's nothing really going on. There's handcrafted locations, don't get me wrong, but in the rest of the planets are empty, which is perfectly fine. Is Starfield. This is basically like, this is not on the scale of like Mass Effect, right? But that's a whole nother conversation for another time, right? But what I'm trying to get at is, with that engine now, what they have in pre-production, now they can sit there and say, okay, we can do the map around this and sketch it out and whatever, and make the size for it. Then we can say, okay, procedurally generate High Rock and using this and that, right? Whatever. If they use AI tools or some type of way to get the map somewhat up and running, right? Which, that saves a whole bunch of fucking time, right? And it saves a lot of time, and then they can go back and then say, okay, let's go trim this here, let's fix this here, let's fix this mountain here, let's make this mountain bigger, let's block this road over here. That's what they do. They're just like already have, like, where they don't have to make a whole map from scratch. They can literally just generate a map and then just go in there and do touch-ups and start adding in the roads and stuff like that, adding in town layouts and stuff like that. That's what they're doing. They're doing it from High Rock, and they also doing it in Hammerfell. So it's going to be a lot easier to deal with, and it doesn't take that long to do, right? And it saves a lot of time. So now they're going into pre-production, now into, the last time we heard that they're going into full production right now. So that means in pre-production, they have basically already have the map right here already laid out. They already did the touch-ups on each of them, you know, like mountains, placements, forests, trees, sand, whatever the case may be. They already did all that stuff. And then they most likely are basically working on, like, again, they probably got most of the cities and stuff like that, the roads and stuff like that. Now they're probably going into saying, okay, let's start making some of the dungeons and stuff. Probably most of them, they probably got it worked on or mostly almost done. And then they probably working on other stuff and NPCs and characters and stuff. So that's where the full production comes in, because now they're really saying, okay, now we're going to start really putting in the details, right? The NPCs, right? The quest markers, the dungeons, right? They're gonna start filling in the blanks now. That's when you're going into full production, you're starting to, you know, fill in the blanks inside of, you know, between High Rock and Hammerfell, right? You're starting to fill in the blanks. You already got the basics of tools in the pre-production. Now you're trying to put more, flesh it out, and get it somewhat into a polished state. But it saved them a lot of time, right? But they had to do was, let's go make a new game and let's test the things that what we're doing here, which is Starfield. Then we'll take that, make it better, and let's add it in for Elder Scrolls 6. That's what they did. And I think that's a smart move. I don't understand why people are complaining about that, oh, the generic NPCs and stuff like that. I think generic NPCs is perfectly fine. It's fine. It's a backdrop. That's what it's supposed to do. We've seen this in games time and time again, right? You don't believe me? I mean, look, I got a video right here of my own playthrough of, you know, Cyberpunk 2077. Look, even just me driving around, you could see NPCs is all on the road, right? Walking, right? They probably don't even got a place to sleep at. These are just background, you know, NPCs that's just there to fill into the world. Like, you can tell. Like, I'm not following this NPC home to see where this person lives. They're just walking just to fill in the world to make it feel believable. So even, like, again, CD Projekt Red, they're doing the same thing too, right? They're putting in procedurally generated NPCs walking around the world, standing around, different outfits, characters, size, vehicles, and stuff like that. You can see it right here. Look. All that generated generic NPCs, okay, is there for a backdrop to fill into the world. These are not like NPCs where I get missions and all this bullshit is dumb. Okay, they already placed that into the world. So personally, for me, I don't believe that they're not gonna put in generic NPCs. I think that is a mistake. I'm pretty sure they are going to put it into the game. However, they're gonna put it in a more meaningful way, right? I'll get to that in a minute. Right? But I want you to show, I'm just showing you that even in other games out there, they use generated NPCs to walk around the world, like conversations, whatever, right? That's not important. And you can see it for yourself. You can see all those people right here, generated NPCs walking around. Right? You can see it crystal clear. All this generated generic NPCs just filling in the world, okay? This is nothing new. I don't know why people are complaining about it. It's there for a reason. It's there to set the stage, right? Same thing in Starfield. It's there to make the world feel alive and more believable. Is a backdrop. This right here is a backdrop. It's no different. Okay? Like, again, we go right here to Starfield. It's the same thing, right? These might have some importance or whatever, but again, these are just backdrops. These are just people just talking, having a conversation, right? See people just walking around and stuff, right? That's what they do. This is just a backdrop. You know what I'm saying? Then we go right over here, right? Like again, walking around, doing this, grabbing a suitcase, right? I don't need NPC. Like, what do you want me to do? Stalk every NPC and follow them to their home and stuff? I don't got time for that shit. I'm not doing that. This is just a backdrop. This is just a backdrop. This is what it is. It just makes the world feels believable. I don't understand why people complain about it, but it's ridiculous. It's retarded. I'm sorry about that little tangent rant, but I'm just like, again, I'm pointing it out like it's there for a reason, right? So I don't believe in this Reddit form. I don't believe that they're not going to take this out. They're going to put it into the game. They're just going to put it, like, again, in the 11 major cities. They're probably just going to have NPCs walking around doing stuff, doing this, doing that, picking up stuff, right? You're going to see maybe children, like little kids playing somewhere, running up and down the city and stuff, right? You're gonna see, like, you know, women doing laundry, doing this, doing that. You're gonna see men, you know, suit up, going out there hunting and stuff like that, bringing, you know, like bringing food home. I'm pretty sure we're gonna see that in the world, right? It makes sense. Like when we go back to out here, right? Let me zoom myself out. Okay, so we go back out here for a minute, right? Just to give you some type of idea, right? And even down right here in this Bay Area, it's like basically like this. It's gonna be generic NPCs. Like again, we don't see that in Skyrim, right? The problem with Skyrim is like the fact that, yeah, there's like so much things to see and do, but the problem is the lack of detail. The detail is what's matter. We don't see like NPCs like walking in the world like all that much in Skyrim. And I'm talking about the Skyrim that is unmodded, not modded, unmodded. Like unmodded, straight up Skyrim game through and through, right? With all the bugs and everything else, right? In that world, right, is impressive, but at the same time, when you go around in the world, you don't really see like NPCs or anybody in the distance, like, or walking in the trail where I'm walking, or you see like horse carriages like going around in the world in Skyrim. You don't see that. You don't see it. You get to see the aftermath of it, like maybe a horse carriage got attacked and you see the aftermath of it, but again, you don't see like, you know, like, you know, right in front of you, like it really does happen in real time, right? Or like, again, like you go to one of those merchants, like in Whiterun, right? If you go to a merchant and you're like, okay, there's something to trade here and there, blah, blah, blah. But you don't see like horse carriages or like other, you know, like NPCs, like bringing in or rolling in like supplies, like food, you know, swords, weapons to trade with any of these merchants. You don't get to see that, right? It'll just refresh by itself, right? It kind of breaks away immersion. That's why I like details in the world where even if that NPC or something that's generic, that NPC may not be important, but it helps to fill in the role of this world feels believable. It feels more alive. I see more people like going around doing stuff. Like, you know, I see more people fishing at the coastal line. I see more people, right? Like you're going to see people like at the coastal line right here probably say, oh, look, there's more fishermen down here. There might be a ship or something, right? When we talk about shipbuilding, right? And then it show you this, but I think it's here. Where is it? Unless I took it away. I don't know if I took it away or not, because I had a ship. I think I exited by mistake. Yep. Yeah, I think I did. All right, hold on. Let me put it like this right here real quick. Just want to give you an idea, so then that way you can see it for yourself. Okay, so here, right, you can see a ship right here. But what I'm saying is like it'll be really cool because in Skyrim, this ship in this area is like empty as hell, right? You can tell like already the problem with the old engine. Like you don't see like, you know, people coming off the dock, loading stuff on the dock, right? Or loading stuff onto the ship, taking stuff off the ship, like barrels and stuff. You don't see like, you know, NPCs or workers hanging out around here, right? You don't, you know, there's like a lack of detail, right? It really is a lack of detail in the ships, right? And the ships are not really being utilized in Skyrim. This is what I'm saying. So to me, right, I think generic NPCs are going to play a role, but they're going to play mostly in smaller pocket areas. Like again, like it will make more sense to put like generic NPCs at the dock area, even though most of them are not like super important. But seeing them hanging out at the dock area, right? They might, you know, take some items off the ship and, you know, bringing it down, you know, bring it into the storage area or whatever area they got to go towards. Seeing them stop and going on board on another ship and seeing the ship like sailing off the coastal line, that makes sense, right? Because when you go right here, that makes sense. That's something like, okay, that's pretty fucking cool, right? Seeing like, you know, NPCs, generic NPCs in like loading onto a ship, and then the ship will just start sailing across the sea, right? And then the ship will go away, and then the ship will come back, maybe with a load of people. Maybe you might see like mercenaries, you might see other adventurers that coming back from a mission or so on and so forth back, and then they're unloading and then they're going off about their business. Those right there, that's details. Those are nice little touches in a game that I think people want to see. Definitely for me, what I want to see, you know, right? If we go over here, right, I want to see carriage riders, like even though they're not like so important, but like again, even like riding a carriage, you can, if you ride on a carriage, the carriage will start riding all across the land. If you want to fast travel, you just want to press X to skip it, you can skip it. But you have the option to be like, hey, I want to travel from all the way up here to down to here, you know, right? I could ride a horse carriage down here. There might be bandits attack. I might get out of my carriage and start attacking them, defending the carriage and stuff, right? And then if something happens, let's say the carriage person got killed, now I gotta walk my way all the way over here to get towards my destination. You get what I'm saying? Is those type of dynamics I will love to see in Elder Scrolls 6, and it's possibility that they are going to put those things in the game, right? Or seeing like again traders, like trader carriages, like where they might have a supply from down here from Daggerfall, and say, okay, we need to get from here, but we also gotta trade along things from up here, but then we have to head over here. So it makes no sense to go by boat. So they said, okay, we're gonna, you know, we already got whatever our items over here. Then one of those like generic NPC horse merchant carriages is going to start riding on through on the trail, going to go up to here, stop there at the inn or 2-3 inns, start trading, whatever. And then they say, okay, we made business, we did this, okay, boom. And then they go to their next destination, they ride their carriages all the way over here, right? And then they might say, okay, we're done. Okay, let's just go down to the main city over here where Hammerfell is, and then we'll make our way over here back to Daggerfall. You know, right? But they're making stops along the way, and the same thing in like the opposite way, they're making stops. Or they have neighbors like across from like Skyrim making trades from over here to over here. You know, those details go a long way. I love to see details like that, right? Or a group of adventurers like going around, like it's not just me. Like I'm not the only person that is an adventurer, right? Like in Skyrim, I was like the only person really doing adventure stuff. There's nobody else around me that you could see or see like other adventurers going out there like getting coin, going through caves, getting loot, right? You don't get to see that, but I would love to see some of those details added into some of these environments, like where you see a party group like that has like a mage, a person that has like twin daggers, and a person that has maybe a long sword or a heavy sword, like like a whole party group, like walking across the land, and also seeing them getting into like trouble, like a dragon attack, or maybe a ghoul or necromancer might raise up like skeletons and stuff and start attacking like just a random location or out of location, just like random events, like those things, those procedural generated random events and encounters and stuff like that, and having those generic NPCs to fill in the areas and like the town areas out in the world, that makes it feel believable and alive 10 times better than what you was getting in Skyrim. They already have the technology for it, and I think they're going to definitely pull it off. And again, we got shipbuilding too, like again, shipbuilding, adding in hiring crew on my ship, even people like generic NPCs that may not be like the main game character, but I could say, hey, if he's good at doing pulling down this or commanding the deck or whatever, I want to hire that person to be on my ship so he can run my ship. You know what I'm saying? Like command the deck and command the people that I need to get done. Hire the person that's gonna help me with weapons downstairs to maintain it. Right? Or to fire like cannons. Like if I put like 5 cannons on the ship or like 2 cannons on the ship, then I'm gonna need 2 people I gotta hire to put on that ship, and I gotta pay them too. You get what I'm saying? It's those things that I will love to see in a Bethesda game, and they definitely have the possibility and the technology right now to do so. If we see it in Starfield, then that we're going to get it in Elder Scrolls 6. Because we definitely didn't get it in an Elder Scroll, in Skyrim. We didn't get it in Skyrim. But in Elder Scrolls 6, we might get that and then some. Right? So, with that being said, I disagree with that one. I think they are going to do so, but they're going to put it in certain locations. And another thing right here, which is the Dwemmers not returning in the orcism, which I kind of sitting there saying, okay, again, it's no surprise that the Dwemmer's not going to be coming back. I mean, we did get through with a lot of Dwemer in Skyrim, so for them not returning in this one, okay, I can sit here and say, okay, I can sit here and say that's a possibility, but again, you never know. Like again, even the orcism, like them, they're not going to be returning in this game. Again, don't be surprised that I won't be surprised that they may not add them right now, but again, later on, you never know, for like DLC purposes and stuff. So let me just back this out for a minute. So like DLC purposes, who knows? They might add in the Dwemer to come back, whatever, right? Or they could add the orcs and say, hey, for a DLC, they're like a threat or something. They may take over this island or whatever when they add the DLC, and it's up to you to go over there, defeat the people on the island and take over this island, and you could claim it your own and have your own like little city or citizens, stuff like that, or trade or whatever, which is cool. Like they can add DLC like that, because like again, it's not going to take them that long to do, because if they can procedurally generate again land, and then they also can make generic procedurally generic NPCs to kind of fill in the towns and stuff like that, and then just go back and handcraft it, add a bit of this, add a bit of that, I think it can work. But again, it's going to take some time to pull it off and see how it's going to work, but it's possible. The possibility is there for sure. So for them for not returning and stuff, I think that does make some sense, right? Make some sense, but I wouldn't be too surprised that in a DLC in the future, one of these two might can come back. Who knows? This is more like we gotta wait and see. Or they might say, hey, since Starfield is gonna have a brand new like enemy or faction, whoever, a threat in the solar system, right? We're gonna get that DLC sometime down the road. Who knows? Bethesda might even say, you know what? We don't need these two to come back. We can actually make a whole new threat of in this game, which it makes a lot of sense. So I was like, okay, we can maybe have a different faction, a new faction. That's a possibility right there. So I wouldn't be too surprised about that. So we might say, hey, we're taking these out. However, we can add in new factions and a new threat of enemies and something new. Okay, I can see that happening. I think that does make some sense, right? They got to make some room, right? Say, okay, we're gonna add all these characters. Let's remove these two out of there and let's add in like something else or something completely different. Okay, I can see that. I'm not gonna get into the political side of things on this one. Again, this is more like we gotta just wait and see like how it's gonna go. But so far, just reading it sounds plausible. Doesn't sound like it's too crazy. World is open. Interiors and cities are free of load zones. Minimal loading into procedural generated areas from handcrafted areas and vice versa. So yeah. So what does this mean right here? Like, again, like procedurally generated. Who knows? They might even add to this game that where maybe like, let's say like New Game Plus, how they did with Starfield, where like things changed around, things are kind of weird, or NPCs or whoever that you meet or what you thought. Maybe, just maybe, hear me out. In this game, in Elder Scrolls 6, they might say, hey, for New Game Plus, yeah, you can get to play the game New Game Plus. However, maybe the dungeons, the locations, and the things that you think you know has changed and switched around. You'd be like, wait, what? So yeah, so now you're not playing the same game how you was before, because now the dungeons might move to a different location. There might be new locations or other, you know, undiscovered locations and stuff that's procedurally generated. Things that you think you know what happened might change. Who knows? Like the possibilities are definitely there. I wouldn't be too surprised about that. Maybe the game might start us off, instead of in Hammerfall, it might start us off in Daggerfall. That could be a possibility too. Like at first, the first playthrough, we might start off here in Hammerfell. Then the second playthrough, we starting from all the way in Daggerfall. And then the next New Game Plus, we might start from all the way up here at the top. And then all the dungeons and everything else change. So it's like a fresh new game. It's like a fresh new game. And maybe the environment and everything else has changed around it too. Right? You know, that's another thing that can happen as well. Which would be really fucking cool. Because guess what? Like every new playthrough is like a new, in New Game Plus is something like is new, is changed. The story is still the same, right? Like I could put it like this. The story in Starfield remained the same, right? It remains the same. However, the people that you talked to or whoever that you was with has changed. Let's say they took it a step further and say, okay, the second playthrough, like New Game Plus, when you did all the artifacts or whatever that you find, right? Whatever that you have done, when you do a new playthrough, then probably like is gonna have different location and dungeons. It might change this, because again, if you read this right here, interiors, you know, again, they're gonna have less loading zones, which we know that Starfield 2.0 that's gonna be coming out around the corner sometime soon, and that update is going to have less loading zones. They're going to fix a lot more stuff. They're going to add more things to it. We know they're cooking up another DLC, a new threat, right? So if they're going to take those ideas, they're going to probably put those ideas even in here too. So this is no surprise at all that they're going to have, you know, like interiors and cities are free of loading zones, I can believe that. Or minimal loading into procedural generated areas from handcrafted areas and vice versa. Okay, so we're gonna have that. So basically, if we go out here, which it makes sense, right? Because if we think about it, if they are going to put, you know, like ship customizations, like, you know, right, customizing the ship, we don't want to just sail around here. It'd be boring. So they probably gonna say, okay, we'll make procedurally generated islands outside of this, right? So outside of this right here, we're gonna make procedurally generated islands out in the location of the world, you know, right? Where you can find, like, you know, maybe the thieves guilds taking over an island. You might find creatures and monsters taking over another island or another area. You might find an enemy faction or something taken over on an island. You can go there and kill them all and, you know, take their loot, you know, or you can literally take over, or you might find something friendly. Maybe it's just a friendly island of like new people and whoever. But again, it's going to be like ship combat all out here, you know, right in this area and stuff. Who knows? They might add DLC for this island later on down the road, saying maybe that might be the last DLC for Elder Scrolls 6. Like their last DLC will be something like this. That could be a possibility, right? So it just is interesting, right? It's interesting to say the least. But the possibilities are there. So for that, I can believe that, right? I can believe that right there, procedurally generated. That makes sense, right? Because in Starfield, there's like so many encounters. You're gonna encounter a spaceship here, a dogfight here. So there's a lot of things you can encounter. So right, it makes sense that they're gonna take that and put it in this world, because they ain't gonna just be in just this little bay area. It'd be stupid. It'd be like all out here, maybe down here, out there in the other open seas outside of this map. There might be procedurally generated other maps and other islands and stuff. That's another possibility as well. So it's no surprise for me that could happen. And then you could have encounters with, like, you know, other ships and stuff like that, right? That makes sense. Because if you're gonna build a pirate ship, or whatever your ship that is gonna be called, you're not gonna stick in just one little area. It'd be stupid. All right, so going back to here, looking at this. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, we're getting down towards the end. The game is much further along than what is being reported. Marketing is starting to ramp up in January 2026. Full announcement at the summer showcase. Release windows depending on how much polish by the end of May 2026, but currently shooting for holiday 2026 to Q1 2027. Okay, so there's a lot right here. So, do I believe in this? I do. Somewhat, I do believe in this. I don't think this is baloney, right? I don't think it's baloney, because we got evidence to prove this right here, right? If we go back in time, right? Starfield was originally should have been released in 2022, right? But they didn't, and they pushed it back towards 2023, right? Makes sense. And we've seen it in the FTC leaks in the document case. Now, I didn't find that specific document. However, I did find this. So, if you look right here, Starfield right here, 2023, which is right. And then right here, this is an existing IP. Yes, check. And does that have multiplayer game cross-platform? Releasing on PlayStation, they put an X. They probably gonna change that. They is going to release it on PlayStation, but it's on a later date, right? And we could point that evidence out now, because remember, Forza Horizon 6 is a racing game, right? We already see that they released the old Forza Horizon 5 game on PlayStation 5. But Forza Horizon 6 is going to be releasing on where? On Xbox and on PC first. And they're going to have a delay window before they're going to push it out towards, PlayStation 6 or 5 or whatever, right? Because Forza Horizon 6 is going to be released first for us as a time window before they're going to get it. So that's what they're going to do. And it seems to me right here, this is what they're going to do. And the same thing is going to release on Xbox and on PC. And then later on is going to release on the PlayStation 5 platform. But note to self here, and it says right here, to be determined, but expect it 2026 or later. So it could possibly be 2027. Now, knowing this, right, when we see it here, right, in 2026 window, then we go right here, right? See, and it's right here. So it's like, which is what likely release for other blank may release only on Xbox and PC. So basically, like I said before, this game, most likely Elder Scrolls 6 is going to release first on Xbox and on PC, then on later is going to release on the PlayStation. Is going to release on there, right? Or whatever, the next PlayStation or whatever, right? That makes sense. So we at least that is confirmed, right? And we know that we have a 2026 window or later 2027 window, which that is right here. And it seems to me line it up perfectly. Now, the only thing that I don't believe is going to be first quarter 2027. I don't think so. I think it's going to be later 2027, like releasing the same time frame like how they did with like either October, November, or or either like again September, October, or November, right? It's going to release around the holiday window. Personally, for me, I think Elder Scrolls 6 is going to release later in the holiday window to give them extra time to do the polish and stuff. So I do not believe that is going to be first quarter. It's going to be later, way later. Okay. Because like, again, if I already told you about the delay for GTA 6, right? And I told you that it was going to get delayed until when? 2026. And I said it's going to be around holiday season, which I was absolutely right on the money. And it's going to release when? On November 19th, 2026. That's when GTA 6 is going to be released. So that's coming up this year. But this game could be announced and shown off this year and then be released during 2027 late holiday season. I think that's what they're going to do. Personally, for me, that's what they're going to probably most likely do. But we're going to have to wait and see. So we're going to have to see around May, if they're going to get the polish done and stuff like that. See, that doesn't sound too far-fetched, because like, again, we evidence prove that we have the thing right here from the release, whatever the release date for this is, right? And Starfield, I don't know where the other document, but they had the original release was like 2022, right? And then they had to push it back and delay it till 2023. And also there was other games too, which it was, I believe, what was that game? What was that game? Because there was another one. Oh yeah, the Oblivion remaster. There was supposed to be a Oblivion remaster during whatever 2023, but they pushed it back to when? 2024. Right? I think that game came out in 2024, right? If I'm not mistaken. Right? Let me just double check. I'm just gonna double check though. Just want to see, when was the release date? Okay, so it was released in 2025. So it was planned to be released during 2024, but they pushed it back to 2025. Okay. And we know that we have the Fallout 3 remaster, right? Fallout 3 remaster. So there was that too. So we know Fallout 3 remaster is going to be made by the same team who did the Oblivion remaster. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get that either next year or the year before that one, like whatever, whichever one, because that's going to be tricky. We're going to have to wait and see on that one. Not sure about that, but however, the evidence proved that the release date that they had before with this game was supposed to be 2026 is most likely going to be in 2027, late 2027, possibility 2028 for the Elder Scrolls 6 window. That's a possibility there. It will not release, it will definitely not going to release this year in 2026. No. Will they show it off, or maybe show like a trailer or a demo or whatever? Possibly, yes. Possibly, but like again, the Reddit is spot on, is on point, that where like again, it all depends on the polish at the end of May, right? Just like how I said when I was talking about GTA 6, how I said, okay, we didn't see no marketing or anything like that, so I already know it's going to get delayed, right? People didn't believe me, and I said it's going to get delayed, and then watch, and then guess what? It got delayed, right? And I don't care about an earnings call. I don't care about anybody else on YouTube. They could talk all they want. In this channel and what I do and how I talk, I use real educated guesses and also using surface level evidence and start putting those pieces together to really see where it's going to land. And so far, right, this right here sounds plausible, but I don't think it's going to release first quarter 2027. No, I think it's going to release late 2027, holiday season. I think that's where the window where they might strive at. Now, could they possibly delay it again till 2028? Most likely, but it's definitely not going to come out this year, 2026. So if you are getting your hopes up that it's going to come out this year, it ain't going to come out this year. I'm going to just tell you that flat out right now. Right? It's most likely going to come out in 2027 because they're going to probably let GTA 6 to take 2026 this year, and then by next year 2027 they're going to get Elder Scrolls 6 on the way. I think that's the smartest move to play, right? And I think we already talked about this. It's not exclusive to Xbox, but delayed release towards PlayStation. That move makes sense because, like, again, we're seeing Forza Horizon 6 is going to have a delayed release for the PlayStation because they're probably going to have an outside studio to do the port for that game to port it over to PlayStation. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Okay, because you know how Xbox is working on Fable, right? And Fable is going to be releasing, whether I believe is this year. So I think Elder Scrolls 6, 2027, late 2027 holiday season. Fable is this year, right? Fable is this year. We got Forza Horizon 6, and we just got a whole bunch of games. So there's a lot of games going to be releasing this year, and some of those games might get pushed back till next year. We'll have to wait and see. However, they got a jam-packed lineup. So, with that being said, right, and then right here for incredibility, the internal code name for Elder Scrolls 6 is White Beach, which it makes sense. Okay, I think that does make sense because, again, if we go back to the top, right, you're dealing with Hammerfell, you're dealing with High Rock, You're dealing with like, you know, again, it's going to take place in a coastal area, right? In the coastal, and then the title of this is Iliac, whatever, the Iliac Bay, which we look on the map, right? And when you see it right here, Iliac Bay, makes sense. High Rock over here, Hammerfell. They're making both of these together. I think they're gonna use both of them together. It wouldn't make any sense that, oh, we're gonna make Hammerfell, but we're not gonna make High Rock. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. High Rock is literally right next door. You might as well just make that too, because this area is small. It's not even that big. It's literally small, and this one is a bigger area. So I think they're gonna do both of them at the same time, and they do have the technology to back that up, because they already have procedural generated map. So they probably already procedurally generated this, and they're going back, fixing it, adding in the details during the pre-production, and getting the roads, the map, and everything, the layout, the mesh, and everything else, and getting the caves and some of the dungeons and stuff like that, getting those ready and prep, like start like working their way doing it. And then they're gonna say, okay, we got everything laid out, we got the story, we got this, we got the mechanics in the game ready to go, we got all of this stuff. Now we can head into full production. So I'm pretty sure they got mostly everything laid out, ready to go in terms of mechanics, the layout, and everything. Now they're just starting to fill in the details and start filling in the characters, the you know, the environment, the characters, the this, that, start filling in all the rest of the blinks before they can start getting into the end of production, right? So that makes sense, right? And then we pointed it back out that, again, they have shipbuilding, right? We see that in Starfield they have shipbuilding. Shipbuilding makes sense here as well as settlement building, right? Procedural generation maps, right? And then I think that's also true, right? I don't believe in that they're not going to have generic NPCs. I think they will have generic NPCs for background purposes, and they probably might use it in certain areas of the map. Then I don't think they're not going to take this out completely. They're going to just use it in some areas around the map, or making it like kind of like fill in, like kind of like the world itself, like, you know, like seeing adventurers like walking across paths, right? You're seeing merchants or traders, you know, have their wagons, their carriages, and got guards, right? People are walking, people traveling by horseback. So there's ways, I think, that they're definitely going to add this into the world to make it feel more lived in and believable, more than Skyrim. Skyrim felt empty as hell. Because when I talk about Skyrim, I'm talking about the unmodded game, not the modded game you're playing through right now. The unmodded version, it is empty. There is really no NPCs really walking around, no carriages you see like traveling, gathering items and certain stuff. It's completely empty, okay? It's dull, empty, and you know, like, again, the world looks amazing and stuff like that, but it felt empty in terms of like running into NPCs and characters and certain stuff like that. It really does feel empty. So hopefully, I think they are going to add this, but in certain areas, like, again, adding generic NPCs at the dock area, that makes sense because, right, you know, you got dock workers working there, right? Because, like, again, you see in the picture that you look around in this environment, this is in Skyrim. There is not one single lick of person here. Like, it's crazy. This is why I say, like, it's good to add generic NPC characters, because then you got them like standing around, right? Maybe they're talking, they're unloading stuff from the dock area, like boxes and stuff, or cargo. They're bringing it to other locations. That's what adds the world, make the world environment feels real. All right, I don't need every single character got to be an important character in Skyrim, but I would love to see background details in the environment instead of it looking like this, where it's like fucking empty. Okay, I don't think nobody wants to play an empty game with like okay, you got this beautiful world and everything else, but your environment and the background stuff is empty, is lacking. Put some characters. I don't give a fuck. Put some generic characters. I don't care if you got a staff worker climbing up this staff thing up and down, like they climb up to whatever, fix a line or hitting a hammer or something, or fixing the cloth on there. That's perfectly fine. Do so, right? Because like again, in Starfield we have smooth animations now. Like Starfield in the Creation Engine 2 has smooth animation. I don't know if people notice, but they got smooth animation, smooth facial characters. So putting in some work in some of the generic NPCs, like fixing the problem in Starfield and making it better in Skyrim, is going to make a world of difference. Like having people like climbing up there, talking and stuff, like hitting hammers and stuff, like, you know, whatever, like making sails, right? Fixing the roof. You know, like if they add like touches like that, it makes the world feel more believable and alive. But this does not make it feel believable and alive. And again, they're not the only studio Bethesda doing it. It's also even CG Project Red, and many other studios are doing it too. Those are background drops. Those are just the background. That's what they do. It's just there to fill in the world and fill in the gaps. It's perfectly fine. Okay, we're not in the future yet. Calm down. we're not there yet with, like, you know, like they're implementing AI and chat GPT features in all of these NPCs where we could just run up to them and have a dialogue conversation. We're not there yet. Okay, calm down. We're long way from that. We're a long way from that. That's just going to take a lot of time. Just hold on, be patient, just hold on. let's fix the obvious problems, like this right here where it's empty and there's nobody here looking at the ship deck or anything, right? Anybody can just climb on here and just steal this fucking ship, right? It makes it more interesting to see, okay, put guards over here by the deck, put people running down here, you know, unloading stuff off the cargo, people climbing on top of the staff pole right here, fixing stuff, whatever, fixing the flags and stuff, fixing the sail, whatever. Cool, right? You see the captain on the ship, or the captain is like talking to whatever, to the ship dock and say, okay, hey, you ship here, you got to pay the taxes, right? Those details, that goes a long way in an Elder Scrolls game. That goes a long fucking way. that adds meaning to the world, right? That's what I'm saying. Like, again, like ship traveling, right? You know, adding like merchants, like carriages going around. Cool. You know, right? That's what we want to see. Like we want to see Elder Scrolls to do better and more, and also we want the studio dev to also cut down a lot of the time and the painstakingly gotta go in there, do every little thing. Like, it's good to have handcrafted stuff, which is going to be there, but at the same time, they also going to, you know, again, add procedural generated, you know, dungeons and stuff like that, like make it bigger, smaller, this, whatever, adding in enemies inside or whatever to fill in the gaps. You know what I'm saying? It helps. And then like the main, like handcrafted areas and stuff, they're gonna spend a lot of time focusing on that and doing this and changing this, right? Because if you want a game to come out in 2027, then you're gonna need tools to kind of like shave down a lot of the time and effort for them to build that world. And especially they're building 2 islands. They're not doing like 1 island a piece. They're doing 2. They're doing 2 at the same time. So it's not an easy task. It's not a small task. It's a big task, right? You got to do Daggerfall. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do Hammerfell. So there's a lot of things to do, and you're putting in, like, you know, shipbuilding and stuff, and ship settlements, right? You know, a settlement system. It's gonna. I'm pretty sure they got all the tools laid out and stuff like that, and they're in full production. So, with that being said, right? With that being said, you know, right? And seeing the release date right here and how it's gonna get delayed, I think this right here in this Reddit rumor it sounds believable. This sounds like legit. I don't think it's every single thing, because again, I don't know or have any clue about the story. That's something we can interpret different and we can have different opinions and ideas about that. But for the evidence that we see right here and what we are looking at in terms of like procedural generated shipbuilding, settlement, right? Hammerfell in the coastal rock area, right? The name of it is going to be called this, right? And then it's going to be called White Beach. That makes a lot of sense because we're dealing with a coastal area. So, right, if we're dealing with shipbuilding, we're dealing with islands, right? And islands can result into beach. Like they're going to have sand and beaches and stuff. It makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense. Okay, I get this. So I can definitely full-heartedly say I believe this. I believe this. This something I can truly sit here and tell you. And especially the release date. I know the release date might be wrong. Maybe this is what the information that he got from a certain insider there. However, this is not far off because we already have evidence to prove that is right here from the leaks. Right? From the Microsoft and Activision and the APK deal leaks. We're not that far along. So we can see it right here is 2026. So if you don't see it here, I'll zoom it in a little. I don't know if I can zoom it in a bit, but it's right here is 2026. You should be able to see it. So if we know that, and it says it's going to say or later. And if we know Starfield was released in 2023, the original release date was 2022. They push it back a year, right? So I'm going to expect the same thing for this one. This is going to get pushed back until 2027, not first quarter, holiday, if anything, and possibly be 2028 release. Okay. That's where I have a good feeling about that release date, but it's not that far off. It's not that far off. So for this little part right here, it's not that far off. I think, like, again, personally for me, if I was betting, it's going to be later for sure. 100%. And this right here, I definitely believe this. This is a believable thing because we already have Forza Horizon 5 or Forza Horizon 6 is not going to be releasing day and date with PlayStation. That is going to be a time exclusive or whatever before it's going to get to PlayStation. So we already have that right there. I think we already got our evidence ready to go. I think this Reddit is definitely there is a lot of truth here. There might be some little maybe baloney in terms of like the release window and probably for this right here, the generic NPC stuff. But other than that, most of it, and this one we can interpret it whatever. We have to wait and see about this. I don't think we know everything fully yet. But as so far as in terms of this, and this sounds like thumbs up. This is checked out pretty damn well. I believe this. This is something I can definitely believe. This is not all baloney. This is definitely not all baloney here. This is some most likely some legit shit right here. And it does make sense. And again, I'm pointing it out with the evidence and stuff. It does make sense. So yeah, that's my hot take right there. I truly believe that it's going to be late 2027 holiday season, not first quarter. And it's definitely not going to release in 2026. 2026 is the year for Fable. I believe Fable is going to release this year. 2027 is going to be Elder Scrolls 6. That's what they're going to do. And I think that's the best way to set up because GTA 6 is going to come out when 2026, right? This year. And putting these two huge AAA titles, I mean, let me just tell you something. If both of these games, if both Elder Scrolls and GTA 6 came out both at the same time, let's just say at the same release date, at the same exact time or close to the same time, right? And let's say if it was available on PC, let's say GTA 6 was available on PC and Elder Scrolls 6 was available. I'm just going to let you guys know. You know which game I'll be picking first? I'm sorry to say this, but I'll be playing Elder Scrolls 6. I'm sorry. GTA can go right back in the back burner. I can care less. For real, I'm not even joking, yo. I know that's a hot take within itself, but I'll keep it a buck with y'all. I will play Elder Scrolls 6 first. I'll pay for that for $100, and I'll leave GTA 6 in the back burner for sure. Because if once you play GTA 6, it's like if you play one, you play them all. But when you play Elder Scrolls, it's a whole new experience every single time. It's an addicting crack addiction. For real. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure you like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I'll see you guys on the next time. Happy holidays. Take care of yourself. Be safe. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.